Chris awoke near noon, gasping for breath, as if he had just fled from someone. Glancing around, he realized it was another one of those dreams, a replaying nightmare of being chased across the field by an invisible figure. He strained to catch a glimpse of the pursuer, only perceiving a dark silhouette, and heard a distant but familiar female voice. Peering out of the window next to his bed, Chris gazed into the distance where a lake lay beyond countless bushes. It appeared slightly diminished this year due to a scorching summer, and he speculated that if the trend continued, the lake might dry up soon. Despite the uncertainty, Chris had observed the gradual shrinkage of the lake over the past few summers. Getting out of bed with effort, Chris went to freshen up. After washing his face, he stepped outside into the yard, where Bella, 4 months pregnant, was already present. She strolled along the fence, holding her slightly bulging stomach. Despite her condition, Bella smiled like an angel, her blonde hair and dress fluttering in the wind, creating an image of a divine creature. "Good morning, Chris. Did you sleep well?" she greeted him. Chris nodded, studying her intently. "Would you mind taking a little walk with me?" Bella asked, and Chris descended from the porch to join her. She took his arm, and they headed toward the field. The weather on this day changed dramatically. The wind was blowing, clouds periodically obscured the sun. A large cloud loomed in the distance, indicating impending rain. Autumn was on the horizon. Chris and Bella ventured deeper into a field of tall, dry grass, reaching a trampled spot where 2 substantial stones with images of their parents lay. Bella released herself from Chris's embrace, knelt down, and ran her hand over the tombstone. Chris watched from a distance. "It's been a few years since they left," Bella remarked. "It's a shame they won't be able to see our baby." Chris nodded, his gaze fixed on the grave. He had almost forgotten about his parents after the funeral, as the responsibilities of caring for his sister, the house, and acquiring food took precedence. "Our child will be born soon. Do you think it will be a boy or a girl?" Chris pointed to his father, and Bella, smiling wider, suggested naming the baby after him. He agreed, and as they shared this moment, Bella's joyful smile seemed to falter for a moment, catching Chris's attention. "Sometimes I can feel him moving inside me." Bella's voice broke Chris from his thoughts. He refocused on his sister, who was gently stroking her belly and humming a lullaby. The wind carried her soothing voice across the field, lulling everyone into a tranquil state. Yet, an unsettling feeling lingered within Chris. As he glanced across the field, he noticed a silhouette on the horizon, an unnatural figure drawn with a black marker. A chill ran down his spine, and he grabbed Bella's hand, urgently leading her back to the house. Confused, Bella questioned, "Chris, what's wrong?" Ignoring her, Chris's face contorted with fury and despair as he realized that the haunting presence from their past had returned. He locked the door, drew his gun, a memory of what had happened 5 years ago when their parents had been sacrificed by that silhouette. Determined to end the threat for good, Chris prepared to face the shadow, even if it meant confronting a fate he had hoped to escape. Silence enveloped the room, signaling the return of the ominous figure. It was the same malevolent presence that had taken away their parents. "Why?" Bella teetered on the brink of hysteria. "Why has he come for us? What have we done?" While she sought answers, Chris, as the elder sibling, bore the burden of knowledge passed down by his father, a legacy of a heinous act committed 5 centuries ago. Every 5 years, the family paid the price for that ancient transgression with their lives. "God, Chris." Hysteria gripped Bella, threatening to consume her. For now, Chris remained composed, tightly clutching the gun in his hands, fixated on the door. He overlooked the kitchen entrance, a crucial mistake. The wild, sinister laugh that replaced his sister's screams emanated from behind him. Swiftly, without aiming, Chris fired a shot. Bella was thrown, landing on the living room table, leaving an indelible mark on the floor. The shotgun slipped from Chris's grasp as he turned to face the slightly ajar kitchen door, revealing a smoking hole in the bulging belly. "We got her, Chris." A chorus of 100 distorted voices echoed through the house. The possessed creature, once Bella, rose and approached Chris, her movements contorted and unsteady. Bones crunched audibly as her body twisted into a grotesque spiral. Droplets of blood marked her footsteps, creating an eerie march. A fetus fell from her belly, screaming briefly before hissing, gurgling, and disappearing, leaving a dark trail on the floor. "And the baby too." The demon's chatter echoed menacingly. "Now it's your turn. You are the last of the Björk family." Rage surged within Chris as he aimed the gun at the intruder, firing multiple shots. However, the demon advanced relentlessly, seemingly unaffected. Trembling, Chris dropped the gun, pressed against the wall, rolled to the side, and closed his eyes. "Your distant ancestor tried to defy fate." The demon continued. "He wanted a pure bloodline, resorting to incest. He made a pact with us to avoid mutations and curses. For 500 years, your family has paid for his mistake, and you are the end of it." The smell of decay filled the air as footsteps drew near. The demon reached out to Chris, and just as the end seemed imminent, everything fell silent. Chris opened his eyes to an empty room. The demon and Bella were gone, leaving Chris alone with his grief. Bitter tears streamed down his cheeks as he realized the extent of his solitude. Exiled from his hometown due to incest, Chris had lived in isolation, tending to a failing farm. When monstrous rats ravaged the land, his life unraveled further, culminating in the loss of his sister and their unborn child. Overwhelmed with pain, Chris contemplated the shotgun nearby. There was still ammunition in his father's room, perhaps the only way out of this tragic ordeal.